Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very exciting guest. I'm so excited to introduce to you Alex Kapetanakis. He is the CEO of Atlas Vaults in Panama. So exciting. He's also got a strong belief in sound money and holding your precious metals privately in a secured facility. So I'm excited to introduce Lynette and Alex today. We've got a lot of great things to talk about.
Alex.
I'm an attorney from Miami, Florida, originally. I was a trial attorney, and then I went into business, and I decided I was going to do some investments, and I began to get very concerned with what was going on in the world.
Yeah.
The central banks, how we were being robbed, and how people have been hypnotized to not even see it. And when you try to point it out to them, they get angry with you and call you a fool. And I've listened to you, and I couldn't agree more with you, especially about gold and silver. But as I became very involved in learning more about finances and getting into investments, because as an attorney, you concentrate on the law and not on money.
Right.
I started to realize that the world was being closed in on us, and we were losing our freedoms. And I decided, the reason I created a place called Atlas Vault is because of Atlas Shrugged, not because of Atlas. And it was to allow people to know, listen, we have got to find an alternative way to get away from this insanity that's going on with the European Union, with the United States, with Canada. They're all closing in on our freedoms. And I just heard a story recently of just the Trump family has announced that they went into crypto because they were debanked. That is something, I mean, if that's the first complaint from the first family, what's going to happen and what is happening is so drastic that we had to take action. And I decided, I started investing in gold years ago, and I started to be concerned with where my gold was going to be stored. I'm not comfortable with storing gold completely in the United States. I'm not comfortable with any one jurisdiction. But when I decided, all right, I started looking into places. Switzerland was the famous place. And then I realized after looking into it, Switzerland is a joke. Switzerland is more intrusive than the United States and the rest of Europe. And the only people that I think get any kind of benefit in Switzerland are the Swiss. But an American or anyone else that's trying to put their assets in a place like Switzerland are not getting any benefit. So I looked at South America, and I decided Panama, because I had done some investment in Panama, and Panama is an ideal place because it has a laissez-faire attitude towards investment and towards money. It uses the American dollar. It has a legal system that is right on par with the United States, following in the United States complexity and seriousness. It has all of the infrastructures that we needed, and it has a tax system that, one, only has a sales tax of 7%. And in terms of money that's earned outside of Panama, anything that has to be earned or created outside of Panama, if it's a Panamanian company, pays zero tax. Zero. You don't even have to file. That's how advanced it is, how friendly it is towards making money.
So
I looked at Panama.
Can I ask you a question in here?
Sure.
Are you still a U.S. citizen, or have you given up your citizenship?
No, I'm a U.S. citizen,
that means that you have to pay taxes.
I pay
US
taxes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I was just curious if part of the reason why you did that was you giving up your citizenship so that you took Panamanian citizenship.
No. I mean, it's a great reason, but I personally do have to. I pay my U.S. taxes.
Okay.
But you can structure things legally
Mm-hmm.
so that you can reduce the types of taxes that you have to pay, and it's perfectly legal and legitimate. One of the things that Panama does offer, and that another aspect that interested me, and it's to protect us against probate and against the loss of your ability to hand over your assets to your loved ones. And in Panama, you have the ability to create, it's called a foundation, which is the same as a trust. And they copied the word for word the foundation language for the law that they created from Liechtenstein. And
Okay.
and you can own your property in the name of the foundation, and you can open up an account with Atlas in the name of the foundation. And the reason you do something like that is you'd never have to worry about, when you die, having to go to court or having anybody have to explain why they inherit, and your kids and your family and loved ones are safe according to what you want. Also, you protect yourself under that foundation law against creditors in the United States or any other place that, with my own class of lawyers, you got to protect yourself against lawyers because it's gone insane. And I used to be a trial lawyer. I can tell you from experience, it's insanity, and it has gone out of control. So you do have to protect yourself and protect your assets. And I decided to find that place, and I wanted to invest and store my gold, but I couldn't find any place that I felt safe and secure in. So I made my own. And I decided to make it in like a bunker style creation, where you had a private entrance, and you were safe from any prying eyes that were watching you come in and out, because you've got to be careful and you don't want to be mugged.
Right.
And I created a layer of protection. So when you come into Atlas, you have to go through 7 points of that basically are trap doors that you have to go through of heavy metal and concrete. And you have to go through our biometric security. And once you pass those 7 levels, you get to the vault, which is pretty much the size. It's about 1,200 square feet of vault space. And it's a giant safe. It's something that I had to reinforce and create a giant safe essentially all around, because I wasn't feeling very secure with what existed.
Right.
And if it's my own money, my own gold, I was going to be protecting what I wanted. And I wanted people that came into Atlas to feel secure as well. So that's essentially why I created it, and how the reasons for creating something. And then I realized that a lot of clients are coming in from different parts of the world, and I created the ability to make it easy for them to transport their gold and silver, and I found, obviously from research, we have a great benefit in Panama, because in Panama we have treaties with the United States and with Canada and with Europe that allow you to bring in, if it's coming and it's originating from those particular countries, you have a tax. Your tax is exempt.
Oh.
So you don't have to worry about paying sales tax on any of your gold that's coming into the country.
So, in other words, shipped, if we do the gold here and then we ship it into Panama for safekeeping, there won't be any customs or any other taxes on it?
If it's done in advance with one of our experts that's a customs agent, and a retired customs agent that prepares the documentation. If, for example, if the gold was American gold, and it comes from the United States, it's exempt from customs duties.
That is very
Completely.
good to know. That is really good to know.
major question.
If it comes from Canada and it's originating from Canada, like Canadian maple leaves, and it comes from there, completely exempt.
Wow.
The problem happens when you mix it up and you're bringing in some we got some issues there, but we've been able to take care of that. But if it's US or Canadian maple leaves and they're coming from there, if you do it in advance, you have no taxes or duties when it's coming in. You pay like $200-300 for the services of the of customs, but there's no duties or 7% tax on it.
And how about if and when it's time to liquidate? How easy is it to get that shipped out?
Oh, it's the same thing. We can. The problem is each particular country that's going to receive it. You've got to have your own understanding of what's going to happen when it goes back. But in terms of leaving from Panama, it's no problem at all. Someplace like Italy or some European countries, they have their own regulations, and you've got to know about what's going to happen when it arrives there.
What are your exact operations like when someone is sending their gold to you from a specific company? As far as fulfillment goes, when you receive it and no one is there, like who is checking that package, making sure everything is arriving correctly? Do you do this under camera? What are your regulations?
No, if we have a shipment that's coming in, and it obviously it would be a client. The client will give us written authorization, and once it comes in, we have somebody that we use that will receive it that does all the paperwork to get it ready, because you don't want surprises with customs and especially in South America. You want to do all of that in advance. Once it comes in, we get notified immediately, and then it is brought over to our office because we've been authorized. We receive it, we check it, we photograph it, and we send immediate notification to the client that it's there, because usually the client's not there because they've asked to have it shipped. They've authorized us to store it for them in our communal, when I say our Atlas box, because once the client comes, that metal is put into the client's box, and it's completely, at that point, completely free of our control. It's only in the client's control, and only the client has access to each particular box. The only time it's an exception is it's that box that we have for receiving that the client has authorized us to accept.
Wow.
Okay, so what if the client never makes a trip down to Panama to set up their own account? Would it just always stay in the communal?
Yeah,
right.
I had that question.
Well, the client has to come in, and the reason the client has to come in is because we have to create the biometric and contractual authorization for the client's protection. If we continually hold it, it's not good for the client. The client wants to be able to have 100% control. Also, we want to be able to assure that the client, should anything happen, that there has to be documentation prepared so that other people have access that the client has chosen. So a wife, a husband, those types of things have to be resolved, because then we would develop a problem in the future if something like that happens. We do that temporarily so that the client so we can do it as a service for the client, but it's not a good idea to do it indefinitely.
Right. Okay. So timing wise, right? Because I'm just thinking about the strategy that we execute and how the shipping and where the storage is going to be, how that would flow into all of it. Because we're going to need to know how to execute that too when it's time to do the exit strategy. It isn't just buying it and throwing it in and going, okay, I'm done. That's not really the way that the strategy is. It is for the legacy gold, but for the rest of it, that's not really the case. So
we have a couple of things that might interest you. We have a very strong network of clients, and
Okay.
those clients are gold bugs and silver bugs, and they are very big on investing. We also have crypto people, and some of the crypto people like to exchange and like to do the purchases, and we can do it internally with the clients. We do a private request, and the clients, if they're interested, come together, and we put them together in our conference room, and the thing is decided.
Just want to make sure that I'm understanding you accurately. If we say, okay, we need to liquidate XYZ, then you would put it out to your internal clients to see if there were buyers there
Yes.
before. So the only reason that it would be shipped out is if there were no buyers there and we needed to bring it back to the U.S.
Process our own
and
liquidation
process
for
it
them.
on. Is that accurate?
You have that always. You have that option always. We have another option. We are partnered, associated, and a client of ours as well is Kinesis Gold or
Right.
Kinesis Money. Are you familiar with them?
Yes, and
They-
we both sit on the Sound Money Movement Advisory Board. So we met them a few weeks ago in Miami.
Oh, you're part of the Sound Money?
You bet I am. Yep.
Wow,
You bet
fantastic. So
we
you know,
are.
Message,
That
that's
is our
right.
main message. Yeah.
yes, they just came down. The Sound Money guys, they came down to the vault this about two weeks ago.
Oh, all right.
Funny.
And they were doing
didn't invite me.
they're doing a documentary of what's going on in South America right now.
Oh, yeah.
And-
That's for the documentary, right?
Right. So that's we have a common friend in that. But in Kinesis, we are one of Kinesis's 13 volts. And what that means is we have an on and off ramp digitally for your gold and silver, which means, and most people, it's hard to get the concept immediately, but what happens is 1 gram of gold can be converted into one Kinesis cryptocurrency. So it would be what they call a KAU, and it's backed 100% by that gram of gold in one of the vaults. We are audited 4 times a year at Atlas for Kinesis for the gold that's stored there. But they have audits all over the world for all the gold. So if they say they've got 14 million ounces of gold or 1,400 ounces of gold, it has to exist in one of the vaults. Okay, so that's audited 4 times a year. So what happens is you can say, Alex, I want to convert 2 ounces of gold in with Kinesis, and we, of course, you have to. We get you involved with Kinesis if you're going to do that. We have a Kinesis box that we keep the gold in, and we notify Kinesis of the 2 ounces of gold. They have to approve it. Once they approve it, those 2 ounces are converted into digital gold that you then have on your phone app, and you now have the value of that 2 ounces of gold at the day that you converted it, that they agreed, on your phone, and you can now turn that into dollars or euros because you take that money and you convert it on the app into dollars or gold or euros, or you can pay with the gold digital, and you can then you can take it, if once you turn it into dollars, you can deposit it into the bank account that you have with the app. So you can convert gold, and you can convert the digital into gold in one of the different vaults that Kinesis has.
Now, that did not sound like I had to physically be there in order to do that. So is that what you're saying, that the arrangement that you have with Kinesis, if we were, because I can see Kinesis fitting in for the first part of the strategy. And I'm okay with them because you can pull the gold out. If it wasn't redeemable, honestly, I wouldn't be okay with them. But I know that it is redeemable, so I can live with that.
Yeah.
But if what I'm hearing is that as part of our strategy for the piece that would go into that, right? Or even if we needed, we could hold the barterable gold there, and then how long does that process take to convert it in?
It takes about 3 days, between 2 to 3 days.
Especially once you're
It depends
set
on
up with Kinesis
Kinesis.
already. Right. Yeah.
I can see
But
how that.
I've
could
done it
easily
myself.
fit.
I've done it many times with them, and it's taken me about 2 to 3 days, and I've converted a lot into digital and then back into dollars. So I can tell you as a witness to it, it has worked very well. What's also to answer your question about having to be there, someone has to hand us your gold. So you have to either someone authorized by you or you have to hand my people your gold that you want converted. We then put it into the Kinesis box for them to approve. So if you want it, or if you want to redeem gold, you can do that as well. And someone has to come authorized and accept the gold once it's redeemed, because we have to take it out of the Kinesis box and give it to you.
Most of that is like managing expectations, right? You managing our expectations and us managing client expectations.
Yes.
Because as long as everybody knows what the rules of the game is, number one, you can put it into the strategy and make it quite clear that if you want to do this piece, this is what we have to do, right? And so I can definitely see where that piece absolutely could fit into the strategy. I could see where that fits in.
Logistically.
Yeah. And I've never been to Panama.
Panama is, you'd be very surprised. Panama shocks a lot of Americans when they see it. It looks like Miami. And it's very safe, and it's very very stable to see. And I think I invite you if you want to come and come and visit us. But it's very, very surprising to most Americans. And it's a very good alternative jurisdiction to save and protect, because I know I'm speaking to the chorus here on this. We're under attack, and I really think that the smarter we handle things, the better. And I think you always talk about being your own central bank. That's what I tried to do. So I took some of your own advice. I tried to become my own central bank, but I took it further than I think you wanted.
No, not further than I wanted.
possible.
That's you, right? Yeah, you haven't been here either, have you?
I'm all over. I'm in Miami right now, so I go all over the place. And I had something going on in Greece, and again, another place that taught me a great lesson during the 2014 era. Nobody wanted to take money because it was going to be stolen by the banks. I was trying to buy a piece of property, and when I went to try to sell it or to send money to the seller, he stopped me from selling. He says, no, because it's going to be taken by the bank. That's how bad things have gotten. And people forget that. It's like they have amnesia. The minute something happens.
They do. So here's my question then. When you were trying to buy that piece of property, what they would have preferred physical gold or silver, right?
They prefer, the problem with Europe is a different problem. They have total controls over your money.
Yeah.
Total control over your cash. You can't take out 1,000 euros without their telling you have to have our permission to do it. And then they're going to ask you many questions about it. So but the European governments have turned very, very intrusive and authoritarian, and they want to, and they're looking at new ways to take over. And God help us if that CBDC comes in, and that currency, they will destroy freedom forever.
Well, I hate to tell you, But the stable coin, the Genius Act, Trump changed the whole system. That's going to be the mechanism to usher in the hyperinflation. I personally am 100% convinced about that.
I hope you're wrong, but I think
do
you're
too,
right.
but I'm
And
right.
I think you're right. And I think that's why that makes what we're doing even more crucial.
Yes, it
Because
does.
there's a point in time you won't be able to do it anymore.
Exactly true. Exactly true. Unless we can create a global movement for sound money and enough people. I think if we can get 3% of the global population to convert their fiat into gold and silver, sound money, then I think we have a shot at getting sound money back in the global system again. But it's got to be redeemable.
Right.
If it's not redeemable, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a big fat lie.
The problem isn't the redeemable issue. The problem is the political issue. You know, they can try to stop us from redeeming. This is why I think it's so important to have more than one jurisdiction. The chances of Europe and the United States becoming very authoritarian are very good.
Oh, they already becoming
And being kind.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the whole world is going in that direction if we allow it.
That's why South America is a very good area and Panama's the best area because look, Panama can't turn communist and Panama can't go crazy politically because of the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
So it's forced to be stable. It also has a very stable political government, and it happens to be a political government and a tradition that doesn't really get into everything that you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they don't care about how much you're paying in taxes. They think we're crazy when we tell them how much we pay in taxes in the U.S. They don't understand. When I tell them it's a 40% tax on your income, they look at me like I'm crazy because they don't come anywhere near that. I think their highest tax rate is 20%, and that's at the $500,000 level. After that, they don't tax.
Yep. But, usually governments like to tax and spend. Right. So, and the income level, what's the income level there, the average income level?
There's two different systems. Okay. There's very rich and there's poor and working class. Okay. There are most of the high end apartments and homes are paid for usually they aren't even mortgaged. They're paid for in cash because there was a lot of money that came in from all over the world. So there's high end, and then there's middle class. There's the lawyers and then the accountants and the bankers, and then there's poor. So there really are three levels.
Interesting.
But there is a middle class.
There is, because I don't think there's much of a middle class in the U.S. anymore. I think
it's being eroded. You're right. It's being destroyed, and I think that's by design.
100% it's by design. 100% it's by design.
I'll tell you, the only hope that we have politically is that we destroy the central bank. That's the only hope we have politically. Mm-hmm. That is the greatest evil that's ever been committed to man. The central bank. It was. If I had to say, if the devil had to create something, it was exactly what he would create.
Absolutely.
To make war on mankind.
Yep, exactly right. And, I think it's really interesting that historically the central banks had a 15 to 20-year charter, and the Federal Reserve had a 20-year charter. It was born in the December 1913. When would their charter have been up? 33. And I think it was either 27 or 28 that flip-flopped, was the first time historically that any central bank had been given a perpetual charter. Because they knew they'd go take them into war, they would hyperinflate away the currency, they'd do a revaluation, they would, do a confiscation or a revaluation, and so then they would point their fingers at the central banks being bad so the government could stay intact. I think they're utilizing that same kind of policy right now because
Yes.
the creators of the stable coins are primarily going to be the Amazons and Walmarts and those guys.
Massive corporations.
Right, massive. Because, I questioned for a long time, and if you've been watching me, I know you've heard the question, what are they going to use to justify this creation? And the only two things that I was ever able to discern from it was either the debt, which means they have to get rid of the current pile, hyperinflated away, or purchases. And once he signed that stablecoin bill, it's a combination of the two. Because Amazon's
agree.
going to sell you stuff. So that's what's going to justify them creating those stable coins. Those stable coins, two things about that. Number one, that pulls the money out of the banking sector, which means that the banks now have less money to lend into and keep the economy floating, which is highly deflationary. But it also then forces those companies like Amazon because they have to back those stable coins 1-to-1, it creates that artificial market for dollars. But it's the central banks then going in to print the money to shore up the banking sector where the money has flowed out of to finish the deed. It's just like this big doom loop,
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
so clear on how that's going to unfold. It is so crystal clear.
I wish I could say I disagree with you,
I know.
but it's scary because it's happening. And you look at who's got Donald Trump's ear right now, and Peter Thiel, and the Amazon people, all of these
whoever
people
can
that
pay.
are
You pay to play.
yeah.
And, that's always been true, but an indication of where we are in the trend cycle is the fact that nobody's hiding it and nobody cares. The public just goes la-ti-da. So that's
Lynette,
how
nobody understands it. They don't understand it. They think you're crazy when they hear you talk about it. They don't get it. I just saw Tucker Carlson interviewed somebody, Werner. His name is Werner. He's a genius on the economy. And he said something that I found a little bit humorous because he is a genius for what he's found, but he discovered, and he got in trouble with the U.S. government for discovering that banks were creating money out of credit. This was his thesis.
What? So
banks were creating money.
Do you know what I have hard evidence? And it took me a long time to find this. So I have a lot of the documentation when they were setting this system up. And so when I come across something, then if I have time, I'll delve into it. Then if I don't, I have a place where I put it. And I know I want to go back to it. So I probably had that in that space for, 3 or 4 months. And then I was doing a piece and I said, you know what? I think I might have something that might just fit in here. And so what I discovered is the very early work on how they created the money in the system. And you can very clearly see in the beginning, the end of 13 into 14, you can very clearly see the gold holdings of the U.S. And then you can also really clearly see, plus they document it, how the corporate debt was converted into Federal Reserve notes, and at a 10-to-1 ratio. It's right there. It's all in flipping black and white, right? So the corporations were instrumental, obviously. I mean, they were working hand in hand. It's just now really obvious. And it's the corporations that are going to do it this time because now they are creating the money directly.
Yes.
Through freaking purchases.
Yes.
And the easier and faster it is to create money and spend money, the more of it gets created, the more of it gets debased. There's your hyperinflation.
Right there.
I just thought I found it funny because I think you've actually I think you've been interviewed the writer of The Creature from Jekyll Island.
Yes, Griffin.
Griffin.
Right.
And I just found it funny that Werner's being given the credit for something that that Griffin had been writing about in that very huge book since the 90s.
Right. I mean, duh. This is not rocket science, and there's so much hard evidence that when I find this kind of stuff, I mean, I just do my happy dance all over the place.
You know, like it's something that you always talk about when you discuss gold and it being the shield, but people don't understand what a brilliant and evil technique they imposed on us. Because I looked into this and I wrote it down when the dollar was in existence in 1913, and I know you know this, but I found it fascinating. It bought you $32.47 worth of goods, $1 in 1913. It is now worth 3% of what it was in 1913.
That's officially.
Yeah, right.
What's that?
Right? That's officially. You know, and so
yes.
they change all of these they never change behavior, but they change formulas for how they account for that. You see?
You know, when
despicable
in South America, they do it all the time. I had some business in one time. I had to go to Venezuela years ago, and they had the original bolivars, and the bolivars overnight they added 6 zeros to the bolivars, and instead of 100 bolivars, you had 100 million bolivars, and they just called it a different thing. They said these are now strong bolivars.
Right.
And we're seeing this happening all the time. You have I actually had $100 in bolivars overnight. It turned into like 20 cents.
Yeah. If that, could you buy anything with them? Mm-hmm. Right. That's it. They use that nominal confusion, which is people get blinded by numbers, right? So they use that nominal confusion to hide the destruction of what they are actually doing. But so it isn't really
Lynette, they blame the people, they blame the stores, they blame the merchants. They say they're greedy, and they're the ones that are doing it, but people just can't get it.
Well, I had a little bit of hope, and then that kind of faded because there were some of the merchants that wanted to actually put a line item of the tariff tax. And I did a video on that, and I said, boy, that'd be awesome. Because if people started to realize that the price of this went up this much because of the tariffs, maybe they would start to understand that inflation is not necessary. Inflation is not a monetary phenomenon. It is a fiat money phenomenon that was baked into the system from the beginning.
Absolutely.
You know, it really is evil genius where they create this inflation and then they tax the inflation that they create. So the inflation is a tax to begin with, but then they create the inflation and then they tax that inflation. And real estate, what's happening, I just pulled up an article, so I need to do a little bit more research on it because I just came across this today. But they were talking about how in the UK, not very politically popular, but they're changing or talking about changing the property tax laws. Well, property like this house or any house is immovable. Mm-hmm. So if you read their documentation, this is a great thing that gets taxed because if you don't like it, like you can take a gold coin, put it in your pocket and go anywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. You can even take a digital wallet and do the same thing. But you can't put your house on the back of on your back and walk away with it. So governments, local, etc., understand that that's a lot of what happens during hyperinflation is the increase in the property taxes. Because what happens, every time they inflate the value of your house, they get to charge you more for these property taxes, right? Your house
Exactly.
is your house. I was watching like House Hunters the other day, and I lived in Sarasota for about 15 years, Sarasota, Florida. So this
Sure.
happened to be in Sarasota, Florida. And I'm like, oh,
amazing.
rock and
Yes.
roll. I'm going to watch this. And they were looking at a traditional 1,800 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, which was my starter home. And I paid $59,000 for that house that would have been 1978. But of
Yeah.
course, the interest on that mortgage was 12.75% at that time. That same house, or at least that 1,800 square feet, same parameters.
Right.
And this was a bargain, according to them, was $497,000. Right?
Amazing.
Because as the interest rates go down, it justifies the house. People can afford more house as it goes up. So
Right.
a lot of that was used to create more debt, but also to generate higher property taxes. Now, do I think that the person at the property tax office knows any of this? No. Do I think that those that are in government at a state level know any of this? No, I don't. Do I think anybody at the federal level knows any of this? No, I don't. Because they really don't want, it's like I got my training at Shearson, which at the time was the best brokerage house for training on the street, bar none. Like Merrill Lynch was a way distant second, and ew, I did not like them. So I went to Shearson. They did not teach me how to read the technical language of the market. They didn't teach me anything about the markets other than how to pass all the tests to get all the licenses. What they taught me was how to sell an intangible. And they said this, and I know what they did, so I believe it. They put $250,000 in me, teaching me how to sell an intangible, because they didn't want me to think, they don't want the brokers to think, ew. They want to tell them what to do. And it was so interesting because what they're selling you is that people are only doing business because you're at Shearson or you're at wherever you are. So, this is it. They're only doing it. And then you let a scandal happen. And all of a sudden, there they are on the squawk box going, call your clients. They're doing business because of you, these lessons didn't go unnoticed, by me. And it's an evil genius system. They create the inflation, they tax the inflation. You're working more, you're working for less, even though it looks like you're working more. I run this every now and again, but in 1971, average wage $10,500. Family of 4 could live on it with one wage earner. If you converted that into ounces of gold and you looked at it the last time I did it, that same wage would have generated somewhere over $800,000, which today a family of 4 can still live on that with one wage earner. Now, I don't know that that's going to be true tomorrow, because in hyperinflation, to your earlier point, I got a $10 trillion Zimbabwe note. I can't buy anything with it. It doesn't
I've
mean
seen
anything.
it. I've lived it. I've actually had to live it. And I find it, because I was doing business, I opened up an account. I put $500 in this account in Venezuela. This was back in 2007.
Oh, so they started the hyperinflation. I started tracking them in 2006.
Okay, 2007, 8. I think it was 2008. I forgot I even had it, because I only had it there so that I could take out money in an emergency when I was there. When I got back, it was a negative account.
Well, yeah.
Negative.
Yeah.
That's
well,
before.
That's a choice.
What's that?
That's a choice. Ask the central banks. Negative rates are a choice.
I mean, I actually owed them money.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So I mean, the issue then is we don't have. Look, we don't have the guns. We don't have this muscle. We can't outdo it. We can't outforce the force of government. We can only take actions for ourselves and protect ourselves, like you do with your own farm and whatever you're doing to protect yourself. But you also have to take some actions that are a little intelligent and play a game of chess and have that layer of protection, which is why I believe even if you want to stay completely in the US, you should consider having something out of the US that keep a little of your assets, if not a lot of them, where they are protected and isolated from what's going to happen. Because I believe, like as you do, there's going to be a wave of bank failures.
Oh.
And I don't believe any insurance is going to protect those failures. And I've seen it. We already saw it happen. You know, the friends of the government, of politicians, will get the first protection, and everybody else will be out in the street. So gold and silver, crypto is really the way to protect yourself. And I think having that extra layer of jurisdictional protection is critical. It really is.
It makes a lot of sense. We probably need to come down and do something physically.
Yeah, I'd love to see the facility and hear.
You're more than invited to be my guest there.
All right, we'll have to look on the
calendar.
It might make sense because of the event that we're doing in early November. We're already in Florida.
Oh, that's a 2-hour flight from Florida. It's 2.5 hours from Miami.
Okay, we'll have to kind of look at the calendar, and but I could see us doing that the 11th.
That would be great.
Alex, I will be reaching back out to you so that we can maybe talk about November and maybe that November 11th show.
Fantastic. Anything you need from us, let me know.
Okay, awesome.
Yep.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you again. It's been wonderful.
It has been. We'll meet you in
Thank you.
person
Yes.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.